you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had, made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. It's that time of year again where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lilliput is the perfect place and is open for the season. Be the first to take on their newest escape room, The Bunker. It's intense, exciting, and totally unforgettable. Prefer spooky? Try the Haunted Mansion. When you're done escaping, hit the mini golf course, go-karts, and jump pads. Lilliput is perfect for parties and group events too. Visit lilliput.net for hours and start your spring adventures at Lilliput.
It's finally summer and Pride season. To kick it off, Rainbow Road in Minneapolis has lots of new lines of fresh, fun, and memorable clothes and swimwear. If you want to be lit, you've got to come and see this great new merchandise. Show off some skin at Pride this year. And don't forget to get your rainbow gear before you go out to the 39 Pride festivals all across Minnesota. You'll need 39 new outfits. Get it at The Road, 109 West Grand Street in Minneapolis near Loring Park.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio and AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you for joining me. We are live at Twin Cities Pride this year, and boy, how exciting is that? Before we go any further, I do want to just make sure that we talk about the sponsors that have made this weekend possible by also being able to support us and do this booth. I just want to say thank you to Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus Entertainment, where it's coming out for. Maverick's Real Roast Beef, which, my goodness, I'm so glad. We had a lot of hosts this weekend and other people who've not had Maverick before. We brought it in to feed people here, and everybody loves it. If you haven't had a chance to go to Maverick, please do so. And also CosCart, your local marketplace website to buy socially and environmentally conscious products. Very excited to be out here today. Meanwhile, back in Eden Prairie, we have Adam. Adam, how are you holding down the fort?
Well, I was doing pretty good till you pretty much told me there was no Mavericks leftovers to bring back to me. Thanks, buddy.
Well, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I mean, that's kind of word on the street. I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get some of these macarons that we're going to be talking about later in the program. I'm not saying it became violent, but, you know, we don't need to talk too much about that. And also, I'm going to bring you on, Brad, if you want. Normally we don't have two people here working on the show, and a lot of nights I'm just doing it myself. But Brett Johnson, we've been working hand in hand over the course of this weekend.
That we have. Great to be on your show for the first time, I think. I don't know if I've ever produced your show before.
No, I've asked you before if you've ever eaten cereal while driving when you were doing one of my pre-records.
Oh, yeah.
And you said no. So you really got into the spirit of things very well. Brett and I we've been just working on all the shows this weekend. So this is really fun. I'm the last live show.
Best for last, though, right?
Right. The grand finale, you might say. I don't think any of us would agree with that, but, especially Adam, who I'm sure is just like, I'd like to go home now.
This is the one I've been waiting for all day.
Well, you know why? It's because we're going to have a pretty amazing guest. And the guest that we're going to be talking to, and we're going to break things up a little bit because in the second segment, we're going to talk to a Ghostbuster. We're going to also talk about we're going to have other sponsors we're going to talk about. But I have been trying for a number of years to bring on paranormal author, gay man, Steven LaChance. And Steven LaChance is a best-selling author and master of horror, known for his emotionally charged storytelling and exploration of humanity's darkest instincts. His breakout nonfiction title, The Uninvited, introduced the world to a real-life nightmare that could catapulted him into the spotlight. Since then, Steven has become a recognized voice in supernatural fiction, investigative horror, and psychological thrillers. His writing dares readers to look in the abyss and ask what's looking back. From St. Louis, Missouri, Steven brings an immersive voice to both screen and page, whether unraveling secret government mind control programs, confronting generational trauma, or dissecting evil disguised as religion. He writes with depth that challenges genre boundaries. If horror is truth in disguise, LaChance is the boldest messenger. And I do have to say, I want to talk about one of his books in particular today, Confrontation with Evil, the 1949 St. Louis exorcism. It has one of the scariest passages I've ever read in my life, and I want to talk about that. Steven, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Thank you for having me. Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride. And I don't know if you know this, Steven, but the Twin Cities Pride is, Brett, is it the second largest free Pride festival in the world, or is it the largest?
For the free version, I believe it's the largest.
It's the largest free. Okay,
largest free and second overall largest festival in Minnesota, only behind, of course, the world famous State Fair.
We get about 650,000 people that come through here. So, Steven, I just wanted to let you know that, and that's why I'm so excited to have you joining us, because we really wanted to talk about all things as much as possible today. Now, you don't live in the United States anymore, though, do you?
No, I live in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, just about 45 minutes from Cancun.
Now, did you leave because of what's kind of going on in the world? You've been out there for a while, though, now, haven't you?
I've been here for almost 8 years now.
Okay, so, gosh. Did you just want to? Yeah, well, I mean, and you're out there with your husband?
Yes, I'm here with my husband, Rick. We moved here, we built our house here, and it's about 8 years now.
Wow. I mean, it's nice to get, I have friends who moved out to Belize, and they love it out there, and I haven't, I've been wanting to move so many times over the course of my life to warmer climates, but I just never get to it. I never get around to it. Now, as we're talking about Pride, as we're talking about the celebration, and the thing about this too is behind me there is something that we put together, and it says our promise as AM 950 is unity, love, acceptance, pride, and respect. Steven, what does pride mean to you?
Well, pride, I always try to remember, especially in the times we're living in right now, that the original Pride was more of a march than it was a parade. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're getting back to that more so now because we have to. For me, it's to make ourselves visible, not only for the world that may not want to accept us or those that do, but for more so for the younger ones out there that are trying to find their way in the world and looking for role models and a way to come out. I remember when I was a teenager, there wasn't a whole lot to pull on. Not a whole lot of history, not a whole lot of visibility. So I think our visibility is very, very important. And I think Pride does that very well. It puts us out there in front of people we need to be in front of. And we need to let them know it's okay. We're here when you're ready to come out.
You bring up a really good point, and I remember seeing this all throughout the weekend because I've been out here all weekend. And the thing that I find that is super important is that you are having children out here who are embodying the purpose of Pride, the purpose of the celebration. And the thing that is frightening, and you just touched on, I think is very important amongst many things, is the idea of that you squash that out of a child, that suddenly you put up those barriers and you make it sound, that people, parents, or family members or whatever else starts making it sound like that knowing anybody in the LGBTQ community or being that yourself is frowned upon. And I think, Stephen, it's really important what you just said, to make sure that keeps going, and it really ties into your what you said. It less of a parade now, more of a march.
For the young kids out there, a lot of them, the first time they hear the word gay, they hear it in a derogatory way.
Yes.
That matters. And it takes a long time. I know, even personally, and I know friends talking about this with them, it takes a long time to take that out of ourselves, to reprogram ourselves so that that's no longer a derogatory term in our lives. And, I started to use the word queer, and I use gay, and it's very important to put those out there. Homosexual. For a while there, it seemed like it was taboo to use those words. And I think it's very, very important that we do, because you got to remember, a lot of times these kids are told in the schoolyard, the first time they heard the word gay is, well, you're gay, meaning something not nice. So I think that's really important that we put down the basis for that. And I think that's because I'm a gay father. I raised 3 kids on my own. It's like I realize the change in this world, we can only do so much as adults. The change in this world is going to come from the values we instilled in the youth. And that is the youth that are heterosexual, the youth that are homosexual or transsexual, no matter what it is. That is where the difference is going to be made. And I think we're doing that. I think you're starting to see the younger set starting to come around. And I really do hope so, because it really does feel like we took a few steps back this year, doesn't it?
And if anyone has been listening to the broadcasts over the weekend here from Pride, I do want to say, give them a listen, especially the illegal trans woman yesterday. Ellie Krug lays out what the future could look like for trans people, for the LGBTQ plus community, and it's not a positive thing. It's very scary. It's very worrying. Stephen, what are your thoughts on the future based on what we're seeing now?
I traveled to Budapest a few years ago. Now, Budapest is run by Viktor Orban, obviously. Mm-hmm. And it was very stifling as a gay person there. I met people that became gay, that became friends that were gay there, and they just discussed how they had to feel like they were stepping back into the closet. And, recently, Orban told the population that there would be heavy consequences if anybody tried to celebrate Pride. There was going to be no Pride there. And then yesterday, we saw this outpouring happen in Budapest where the streets were just absolutely filled. I mean, what did they say? Like 650,000 people hit those streets.
It was a lot of people, yes.
It was amazing. And, the thing it did for me is it showed me that even though it feels like the United States might be going to that there is hope. I think the No Kings March showed that. There is hope. Yes. There's people out there ready to put boots to the ground. We've done this before. This is not new to any of us. I mean, the older versions of us. We've been here. We've done that. I can remember being in a bar in 1985. Was the first gay bar opened in a small town in Missouri, and the townsfolk surrounding it wanting to burn it down and do everything else to the people inside. And the police were called and they wouldn't come. I remember those days. Yeah. I remember what that was like. I remember not to bring up a sad part of it, but I remember the AIDS epidemic and losing friends. We all remember that, and we all remember what we did in those moments. We put boots to the ground. We got out there, and that's why it's so spectacular to see prides growing the way they are without corporate sponsorship a lot of times. A lot of corporation this year pulled away from them, especially, I know in St. Louis, we saw Anheuser-Busch do the same. So,
well, here, I'm going to name names. I'm very disappointed. that Target, which I thought was really all about, the DEI and the idea of equality. Very disappointing. And in fact, for Twin Cities Pride, Target was blackballed from joining the event this year. And just want to quickly touch, we talked about No Kings, and the thing about that is that we had a political assassination the morning of our No Kings Capitol, and it was horrible. But and it was canceled. Governor Walz canceled it, but ended up getting 550,000 people still coming out because it's too important. All of this is so important. Stephen, this is what I'd like to do.
I remember that morning seeing that happen, and I heard that he wanted to cancel people coming out that day. And I thought to myself that morning, I hope they show up anyway. And they did. My gosh, you guys did. It was amazing.
It's a very loud message. What I want to do here, Stephen, is I'm going to take a break here. When I come back, before we get back to you, we're going to talk to a couple Ghostbusters, but then we're going to get back to you because I really want to get to talking about Confrontation with Evil, the 1949 St. Louis exorcism. So we're taking a break. We'll be back. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. It's that time of year again where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lilliput is the perfect place and is open for the season. Be the first to take on their newest escape room, The Bunker. It's intense, exciting, and totally unforgettable. Prefer spooky? Try the Haunted Mansion. When you're done escaping, hit the mini golf course, go-karts, and jump pads. Lilliput is perfect for parties and group events too. Visit lilliput.net for hours and start your spring adventures at Lilliput. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us. We are live at the Twin Cities Pride Festival. We are so excited to be out here all weekend. We have been running shows. I am just so honored to be a part of this. Thank you very much. I just want to also read some sponsors that have made this weekend possible. MELSA, your Twin Cities Metro Public Libraries. They're committed to providing quality services, resources, and programs to the LGBTQ plus community. Check out their Metro Pride book list. Minutemen Press, Uptown, AM 950's printer partner. They printed so much stuff just for me, for GhostBox Radio. They are so helpful to us. And then Cup of Java, serving coffee, drinks, and goods in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood in Minneapolis. Coffee, it had been provided all weekend by Cup of Java. Very excited to be able to partner with them. Everyone's been really enjoying that. Our guest today is Paranormal Author Steven LaChance. We're going to get back to him in a second. But you know what? You know what's funny, Adam?
What's that, sir?
I have never been around anyone who dressed in Ghostbusters uniforms probably in my entire life. And this year alone, we've run into them 3 separate times. Different groups.
I had never seen it before either, but yeah, you are absolutely right. Everywhere we go, someone's in a Ghostbusters outfit, and it warms my heart.
3 separate states also.
Yeah, that's right. Wisconsin, here, and Iowa. Yeah.
That's correct. So being the due diligent radio host that I am, I don't know either of your names. So I'm going to let you start by introducing yourself.
Hey, yep, I'm Mike. As it's radio, so you can't really see me, but I'm the purple Ghostbuster.
Are you? Well, some people. What happened to the camera? Oh, there it is, right there. Some people can. And you look amazing.
Thank you.
The purple Ghostbuster. I love it. And your name?
I'm JoJo. I am the yellow Ghostbuster. And this year we, the Minnesota North Star Ghostbusters, we were actually able to get every single color of the pride flag except red. Red woke up with a migraine. But other than that, the Minnesota North Star Ghostbusters for the Minneapolis Pride Parade, we got every single color of the pride flag this year. First time.
Congratulations on that. Now, are you doing, do you do stuff that helps the public, or because that's what I find. It seems like everybody I talk to that do what you do. And by the way, they've all were in their traditional gray or whatever color outfits. You both look absolutely magnificent with the, and they look really good. You have your proto packs over there, so we haven't seen those, and those are pretty legit too. How do you help? It sounds like you help the community.
Definitely, yeah. We started out as a charity group. Just a bunch of guys wanted to be Ghostbusters, and we got everybody involved, and so yeah, we started the North Star Ghostbusters. So we do autism walks. We go to sometimes we go to hospitals and other parades. We just try to help out the community. That's our main focus as the Twin City Ghostbusters.
How fantastic! Do you do any paranormal stuff at all?
There are some folks in our group that do it. I don't personally. I don't think Mike does either. But I
don't want to hear either of you believe. This isn't the program for that.
Oh no, I had a ghost in my house for sure.
Oh, I definitely have people I would call. I'm just not that real Ghostbuster.
Are you setting me up? Are you setting me up? Who are you going to call? I mean, come on. Let's put that down. So that is awesome. Incidentally, I'm just going to say we are doing a paranormal investigation over at Divine Lights. My friend Shar over at Sharvinity, she's putting this together. So I don't know how much it is, but if y'all want to ever try it out, this place is haunted, and that's for everyone else as well. Go to Sharvinity on Facebook. That's on July 10th from 6 to 9 p.m. Go check that out. Before I let you all go, and I'm going to have you all on again because this isn't enough questions. There's so much more we could talk about here, and I want to get back to Steven, but can you tell me what pride means to you, please?
Oh, pride for me, especially when we started this. So this is our 4th time trooping here, Twin Cities Pride. I got family members who are a part of the LGBT community, and I wanted to support them because I love them so much. And so coming out and representing them is what really truly matters to me.
That's great. How about you?
Same. So I am actually part of the larger Costumers for a Cause community. And that's the large nonprofit that we work for. We do all of the events. And so I've done this probably 6 or 7 years now. And but for me, I mean, pride in itself, I mean, I'm 30 something years old, and I didn't realize until I was an adult that who I was legitimate and real. And, so being able to have that sense of identity and community and not know I'm just feeling this way for attention or however,
absolutely.
But, it's a great way to celebrate who I am and who everybody else is as well.
That is wonderful. Once again, how can people find out more about you?
They can do Costumers for a Cause on Facebook, Instagram, or
.com. Yeah, we have a website, and then also for us, the North Star Ghostbusters. We're on the Facebook, so just type in North Star Ghostbusters on Facebook. You'll find us.
That is fantastic. Thank you both very much. Really appreciate it. We'll be in touch. Maybe to get you back on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your Pride.
Yes, you too.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Very much. All right. So we're going to have them back on. This was very quick, but we wanted to, it's so cool to see it. And our guest tonight is gay paranormal author Steven LaChance. I appreciate him allowing us just to kind of fit that in real fast. One of the things I wanted to talk about, out of all the books that Steven has written, and he's written a number of them, you need to go to StevenLaChance.com, see all the books that he's written, but one really caught my eye. And Steven, that is Confrontation with Evil, the 1949 St. Louis exorcism. Steven, can you tell us what that book is about, please?
That book is about the St. Louis exorcism case of a boy that actually the movie The Exorcist was partially based on.
Yes.
It was interesting because I ended up living in the neighborhood where the hospital was, where the boy was exorcised. And that kind of started things. Actually, the creepy thing about it is I walked up the street to the Catholic Church and there was a statue of St. Joseph, and I looked over and someone had cut off its head. And that kind of started, the whole thing. And then I was sitting on the porch and I started thinking about, I'm here in the neighborhood of The Exorcist. This is where it happened. I'm known for my research and I'm known for things. So I started looking into this case that happened in the 40s. And this boy was amazing what he went through and what he was put through. And it really, the more I dug into it, I realized that there was a lot of fingers to this case that were never really investigated or talked about or thought about. Everybody just kind of bought the movie perception of what exorcism is and what possession could be. And so I wanted to kind of right that wrong. And that's what Confrontation is about. It's telling his story and giving different interpretations of what could happen, how it happened, and really not making the reader's decisions up, but giving them the evidence that they need, that they can make up their own mind. You see what I'm saying? On whether these things are real, whether they can happen, or was it just a hoax, or was it just a boy with an active imagination? I mean, all things are possible.
I just want to say that I read a lot of paranormal books, and even before I started doing the radio gig, and there are 3 books that I'm going to say that has scared the you-know-what out of me, different passages. One is a book called The Holy Water Incident. The other is a book that Richard Estep has done on Fox Hollow Farms, and your book about Confrontation with Evil, when you describe going down in the hospital to the room where that furniture from that house is stored, that really kind of messed with me, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of things there that were that you would never be able to shake off. I'm not surprised that actually going into that and actually later going into a different hospital, into a different part of the hospital where they were keeping someone else at one point. I don't want to bring the book that way, but because I mean, it's like that last moment you find out.
It's chaos.
Exactly what was going on. And yeah, but the thing is I'm not surprised that story fascinated you, because it has fascinated generations of St. Louisans. You did not grow up in St. Louis without hearing about this story. There's a lot of folklore and urban legend that surrounded it. Everybody has a story about it. So it's one of those things when you get into it, it's creepy as hell. And I gotta tell you something. There was times in the investigation and the research of it all that I really got creeped out too. You were not the only one. I can tell you a quick story.
Please
I was
do.
writing I was writing the book. I guess I just started it. I was writing like the first chapter, and my son's dog I was living with my son at the moment. Him and I were living together, and I looked over and his dog was barking up the stairs. And I told her to stop it. And she would come in and she would be real nervous and she would walk back and start barking up the stairs. I told her to stop it. This went on like 3 times and I finally got her to stop it, and the doorbell rang. And I went to the doorbell and I opened the door and there were two missionaries there, and they go, "Is Jesus Christ in your life?" And I went, "You have to be kidding me." And I closed the door and I went in and I called my husband, Rick. And I said, "Rick," I said, "I think I'm writing the right book." But seriously, that's how the writing of the book started. And, you know, it just crazy things from then on happened. I don't know. Greg, I don't know if I had the choice to write that book again, if I would have, because afterwards it took a long time to be able to push it off. You know, I lived within that boy's psyche day in and day out while writing it, and it messes with you a little bit. It really does.
Wow. No, it does. We're talking with paranormal author Steven LaChance. We talked a little bit about pride in the first segment, but we're talking about his book, Confrontation with Evil, the 1949 St. Louis exorcism. And, that's interesting, Stephen. I never knew that, like, you may not have wanted to maybe explore that if you had the chance, if you knew what it was going to bring. And I find it, especially because this is what you specialize in, talking about the darker sides of just about everything. What is it in particular? Is it the attachment to possible demonic possession, or is it something else that you're just like, no?
Well, there was a lot of it. A lot of it was from an emotional aspect, just putting myself in the I felt sorry for this young man, by the way.
Yeah.
He was so abused. His mother, there was a little bit of Munchausen by proxy going on there.
Yeah.
She was getting a charge out. I remember there was one point where they were in their home in Maryland, where they were actually from. And they're standing around the boy, and she's asking questions. And the questions would actually be scratched into his body and sometimes come up and welt on his body as well. And he would be in this severe pain. And she was standing there asking questions, watching this happen. And the thing that bothered me about it is everybody that he could put his trust into, everybody that he thought was there to protect him, didn't. And that was really hard. And then obviously there's the paranormal side of it, where there was a lot of nightmares and activity that came with this book. Especially, I remember right after writing it, I was standing on the top stair of my house, and this is the night. I mean, I had just sent it off, and it's outside, and there was a steep hill, and I felt 2 hands push me down the stairs.
Oh.
And I mean, I was pretty bruised and beat up from it. And it was stuff like that. It was like one thing after another. We had a loft at that time in St. Louis, and I stood in the living room of the loft and I watched these huge blinds that were firmly, put into the wall come falling down all the windows, and it was like that for a while. It took a while for things to settle down. And I knew, at first you go, it's my imagination,
Yeah.
I did that with the Union Screaming House, by the way, guys. I would go, it's just my imagination. You try to reason it out. But I really do think that book was partially responsible for it. But not necessarily the book, but the research and how I let myself be touched by that research. You got to be careful.
And I find it very interesting and frightening, actually, that right away, the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about being, feeling the 2 hands being pushed down the stairs, it kind of reminds me of the scene. I know that the film is different than the book, but the scene in The Exorcist where the priest is, thrown down the stairs. He jumps out, actually, but that whole thing, it's like, that's kind of eerily coincidental.
You know, I never thought about it that way. You just gave me the creeps.
I do that often to people.
Yeah. You know, I had read things, and in the research, I had read things from the priest, and I know what the priest and those that were subjected the boy, and I know some of the things that happened to them and how they were impacted by it. And I can really understand it now because there were some experiences that I would say were kind of like. You know, I remember being at the point where they did the exorcism at the hospital, and I was doing a voice box session, just, you know, to see what I could get. And I was talking to something, and it was answering me. And I said, well, what do you think about this whole thing with this boy and, you know, this exorcism? And it said, we hated the boy, you know.
Oh.
And it literally absolutely targeted talking about him, you know, which really gave me the creeps, you know. There's other things that happen along the way. And I tell you guys about the end of the book, but anybody that wants to read it, I don't want to ruin it. But I'm telling you, this book took me through the paces.
And yeah, I'm not going to ruin it for anybody as well. I did tell Adam, who is back at the station, I gave him a little bit about it because I was so excited to have you on. And he's just like, oh my God. You know, I mean, folks, you want to check out this book. I mean, you want to check all the books out that Steven's written, but this is all next level. Steven, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take our next break. When we come back, I want to just kind of also talk about you're talking about all this dark stuff. I want to talk about cleansing and how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the aftermath of the stuff that, you know, you've researched and it might be kind of hanging around with you? I'd love to kind of get into that. We're live at Twin Cities Pride, and you're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Support comes from Hennepin Arts, presenting Hidden Brain Perceptions Tour with Shankar Vedantam. Are there parts of our minds that are hidden from us? This question launched the Hidden Brain podcast 10 years ago. Now host and creator Shankar Vedantam brings 7 key insights from the first decade of Hidden Brain to the stage. Whether you're new to the show or a longtime listener, this evening of science and storytelling will change how you think about yourself. Tickets available at hennepinarts.org.
Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
It's that time of year again where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lilliput is the perfect place and is open for the season. Be the first to take on their newest escape room, The Bunker. It's intense, exciting, and totally unforgettable. Prefer spooky? Try the Haunted Mansion. When you're done escaping, hit the mini golf course, go-karts, and jump pads. Lilliput is perfect for parties and group events too. Visit lilliput.net for hours and start your spring adventures at Lilliput. And I just want to say, after GhostBox Radio, we have Politics Now, so please stick around for that. Bruce always has some pretty exciting stuff to talk about. There's a lot going on. And then join me tomorrow at my normal time for GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun at 10:05 p.m. We're going to have author Sylvia Schultz on. We're going to be talking with her about haunted amusement parks. We're going to be talking about haunted zoos and museums. On Tuesday, we are going to, I'm blanking on Tuesday. It's going to be another great author, though. And so you got to check out GhostBox Radio on Facebook and see who's coming on Tuesday. I know Wednesday we're having Sam Beltrusis on as we are talking about ghosts of the American Revolution. I want to also quickly thank our sponsors for this booth this year. No Place Like Home Realtors, working hard for our clients while serving the community. And what I'm having right now is, because I'm just not stopping eating. I had Mavericks, and now I'm having this, Nicolette's Macarons. Check out their food truck all weekend and Pride. And they are, check out their location. I didn't know what to think these were going to taste like because I've had macarons before. These are so fresh, they're so delicious, and they're so flavorful that if you have a chance to do so, if you're a foodie like me, you definitely want to take part in this. My guest today is gay paranormal author Steven LaChance. We are talking about we're really only focusing on one book so far, and we got to get him on. Hopefully he would love to come back sometime and talk about some other books, but we're talking about his book, Confrontation with Evil, the 1949 St. Louis exorcism. It's available anywhere you can get a book. And then if you go to your local bookstore, if they don't have it, just ask them to order it for you. Keep business going to those stores as well. And Steven, as we have probably about 12 minutes or so left, I want to talk about, you're in this situation. You are, not just for this book, but for a lot of other books. You're doing a lot of research into very dark areas, and areas that it goes beyond the realm of human understanding. In the situation of confrontation with evil, as you are getting, you're feeling different things, and you might feel like that there's something that is, kind of staying with you. What do you do with that? How do you cleanse that out of your system?
The first answer most people are going to tell you is you need to run to the church, which is not the case.
No.
It's more of a state of mind. I mean, because the thing is it feeds upon fear. It feeds upon negativity. One event leads to another event, leads to another event because of the emotional output that you put for each of these things. It's the best way I can describe it. So you have to be able to ground yourself. That's number one. Yep. And learn how to deal with these things. Don't give it too much. And trust me, I've stood toe to toe with some scary stuff, but the only way you can do it is to be able to walk away from that and isolate that as an incident. Family, believe it or not, is really important. The ideas of being able to laugh, humor. You got to keep humor in your life. And, there.
Are we down on internet?
Looks like we're still on. We might have lost Steven.
Adam, did we lose Steven?
I think Steven is frozen.
Steven is frozen. He said he can hear us. Okay, maybe now it's just always odd when people talk about how they are they're trying to clear themselves of dark things, that stuff like this happens. Right. Steven, are you? Yeah, I mean, is that weird? Do you run into that often when you do interviews?
Sometimes, and it will happen at the most telling of times. It's happened quite a bit. I remember there was one case I did, and it was quite high profile, and we were going to have her on a show. She wanted to come on the show with the woman that was experiencing this, and you couldn't get her on if the life depended on it. I mean, the phone would go to busy. She was trying to call in. It just wouldn't happen. And it happens that way sometimes. I think sometimes it doesn't, well, all the time, it doesn't want us to talk about how to deal with them, how to keep yourself safe. And I think the misnomer is that you can't do this on your own. It's all a mindset. I learned this very early, and it was living through my own haunting, which, was called the Screaming House, which we can talk about some other time.
Sure.
But I remember my son in the throes of that, he was young, and he looked at me and he said, "Dad, you found demons. Why don't you go looking for angels now?" Now, what made sense to me about that, and it struck me, was, I was looking for the bad. I wasn't looking for the good. And a lot of times that's the matter of what it takes. to be able to take those things out of your life that's causing them and to be able to switch things around. I work during the day now. I don't work at night. When I work from 10 a.m. in the morning to 12 noon. I'm writing. That's when the writing takes place.
Sure.
I close the office up, I walk away, and I leave it in this room. And every month I sage the house. I do all that kind of thing too.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a matter of being able to disconnect. I don't think I will ever put myself in the shoes of a subject the way that I did putting myself in the shoes of that young boy. And the priest, by the way, the priest who exorcised him too, both of them. I don't think I will ever do that again. And I think my writing is depth defying as that was. I don't know how else other to say that. But I take the research and turn it into fiction. It's a lot different than doing the research and then putting it out there.
I bet it is.
A lot different. So, but it still is effective, by the way, because you can teach in both ways. And I think that was the most important thing is to be able to teach people. To have them think about what's out there and what can occur and what they should be looking for in their lives.
I think too, one of the things I find very interesting, like you said, you can do it on your own. And if you do get people to help, they got to be vetted pretty well, in my opinion, because one of the things that I find is that people, whether they want to or not, they're going to have their own agenda or their own belief system, or, and you sometimes you just can't have that when you're in situations like what you are. And, one of the things too that I do as a paranormal investigator that will go to people's houses and try to help them is, remind people the power of positivity, because, sometimes when you're in that down state, you look around, they're so close to it, they don't see it, but they look around the house and it's like all the shades are drawn and there's like, no lights are on, stuff like that. It's like, you got to kind of beef this place up, but give it some positivity, because it just will, it will grow in a confinement that doesn't have, something nice, good sunlight coming in, stuff like that.
You're absolutely right. And the thing is if you sat down and you put us all together, which has happened before, all of us that have lived through something that is really dark. The one thing that I guarantee you, almost all of us will tell you, it happened to me when I was living through a very dark time in my life. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right. It is a matter of positivity. And how do you change that? Well, how I did it personally and how I do it in times that are trying is I try to wake up each morning and I start the day by, what am I grateful for? And believe it or not, if you can do just that one thing and do it every single day, you will find that it will start adding to. And then your mindset changes. You reprogram yourself, so to speak. And that is the key to getting through some of this stuff. It really is. Boy, that was smart that you're doing that. I'm glad to hear that, by the way.
Well, thank you. And I think people need to be reminded too about the what you're grateful for. And one thing a day, I think you're absolutely right, is that's the sort of thing that, you're not giving a whole lot even to think that, say it, be thankful for it. Even if it's as simple too as when you sit down to a meal, to be just like, I'm so thankful for this meal, stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing.
The reasons we were taught all of these stuff through the years, what do you think sitting at a meal saying graces? It's exactly that. What is praying? It's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's showing being positive about everything that you have going on in your life. I remember there was one point that was really low, and the only thing that I came out with was my kids. And that was enough.
Sure.
Sometimes it's going to be just that thing, or it's just going to be, I woke up this morning. But you know what? It was still something to be grateful for. And if you can continue that and build upon that, it'll take you out of whatever hole you're in.
100%. We're talking with gay paranormal author and beyond paranormal, to be honest, Steven LaChance. And Steven, your website, is it StevenLaChance.com, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
All one word? Yeah. Yeah.
It's all one word. It's StevenLaChance.com. You'll see everything that's out, everything that's coming. We got a book coming Tuesday out.
What do you have coming out?
It's called Gorilla, and it's based on, it's a supernatural book, but it's based on taking some of the MK Ultra research and the mind control experiments, doing the research in that, and then fashioning it into a fiction novel. It's LGBTQ plus horror, actually, and I'm really excited about it. It's the second book of this series. The first book was Glow. It's called the Modern Monster series.
Okay.
And it shows the idea behind it is it shows that monsters come in all forms, in all forms of life. And the research has been really, really kind of fun in this book. I really enjoyed it, all of it. But Gorilla's got a bite, though, man. It's a, get ready.
That's cool. Do you when you go to the website, can you get books from you, or do you just send them to Amazon or something?
I just send them to Amazon and stuff like that. I live in Mexico, so it's very difficult.
That's true.
For me now, you know,
Makes
shipping
sense.
out of Mexico is expensive, right? Yeah. So I, you know, that's the way you go. Go to your bookstores. Go where you download books. Go to your libraries. A lot of libraries I know in Minneapolis, a lot of the libraries have my books there, just because my publisher for some of them was Llewellyn Publishing. So
Llewellyn, yeah.
Well,
and that's why too. It's like we are so excited, and I'm just gonna fit this in because I can, because of Melsa and the Twin Cities Metro Public Library is committed to providing quality services, resources, and programs to the LGBTQ plus community. That's what it's all about, isn't it? To share those resources, make them available to everybody, and to share your work as well, right, Stephen?
That's exactly it. I don't care where you read it, just as long as you read it. I mean, and I hope you get something out of it. That's the whole point of this. I mean, nobody's going to make a fortune writing anymore.
No.
Not everybody's going to be Stephen King. But there's got to be a reason that authors do it. And mine is I want to talk about these things. I want to cause people to think about what they believe in and what they don't believe in. I want them to talk about some social issues that are brought up in the books. Because if you look, each of the books do have their own moral questions that are brought up within them, and social issues are part of that.
And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, maybe not everyone's going to be a Stephen King, but you know what? Maybe people listening to this, people who've listened to you before, maybe they want to be a Steven LaChance, And,
I hope so. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been lucky. People have responded. I have a great listening audience. Reading audience. I said listening. That's because I used to do radio. Can you tell?
Sure. Yeah.
But the readership has been great. I've been really, really fortunate. My books are worldwide. I can't ask for any more than I'm getting right now. And that's fun. And I hope it continues. And I hope I can continue making people think.
I think you will. Steven LaChance. Once again, folks, go to StevenLaChance.com. Find out about him. Find out about the books that he has written, and then read them, please. I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all. Stephen, thank you so very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And it being Pride, it was special. It was special that you asked me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Steven LaChance, once again, StevenLaChance.com. Before we head out for today, first of all, I want to thank everybody who we've been broadcasting here all weekend, and this has been so much fun. And I do suggest that you go out and you find some of the programs all this weekend, because they're very good, very topical, talked about a lot of great things. I do want to say, my Tuesday guest that I just blanked on, a beautiful woman inside and out named Meg, who is a paranormal investigator, and she's blind. So we're going to be talking about that. Before we go, once again, thank you to Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, Coscart, Cup of Java, Melsa, Miniman Press, Uptown, Mavericks Real Roast Beef, No Place Like Home Realtors, Nicolette Macrons. We are going to be back tomorrow. I'll be back at 10:05 my normal time with Sylvia Schultz. And up next, we have Politics Matter. Everyone, thank you so very much. Adam, thank you back at Eden Prairie. Brett, thank you over to my left. We'll see you tomorrow.
come on, you know it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.